Aloha, namaste. This is Radha Home, and I'm here with our full moon forecast for this. Um, it's Thursday and Friday. It is the 28th here in Hawaii, so it's going to be 11:57 p.m. Hawaii time, moving into the morning once we move to other time zones. So 2:57 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on the 29th of September for most people. Our full moon is in a star called Uttara Bhadrapada. This is the later blessed step, and it's right in the middle of Pisces. We have Purva Bhadrapada right before it, which is the early blessed step, and we have Revati right after. And this trio of nakshatras that makes up Pisces is really about the theme of moving into our highest state of enlightenment, right? So ultimately, Pisces is the end of the line, and we are moving from the mental realm of Aquarius, where Purva Bhadrapada begins, into the watery emotional realm of Pisces that's also ruled by Jupiter, right? So we have this quality of higher wisdom and truth seeking to expand. And in Pisces, particularly, the Jupiterian quality is less about finding practices or religions or beliefs outside of ourselves and more about embodying what we believe. And more than even embodying what we believe, allowing ourselves to release the different shackles and things that hold us to our beliefs, that tie us to our beliefs. So in Purva Bhadrapada, we have this lightning flash of insight, like I am beyond this body, I'm beyond these steps I take in the world, or these material possessions I have, or these, this job I do, these children I have, this partner I have, and all these different ways we identify ourselves. And we move into recognizing ourselves as spirit, particularly once we get to the part that's in Pisces. And then we move into Uttara Bhadrapada, and we have to kind of, do the work, like walk through the door. Okay, we've seen the door, we realize, that there's more, but are we willing, are we able to then take the deep dive into our own subconscious, where our beliefs are, where our deepest beliefs are, like where the foundation of everything we believe lies, and look at it. And some of it is going to be difficult to look at, because a lot of what we believe is predicated on something from the outside world, often something from a long time ago, like not even necessarily in this lifetime, right? In fact, probably not. We carry these collective threads that all of us have carried from our various lifetimes, and they stem from something, right? They're based on a primal belief of some sort. And more often than not, that belief is not rooted in truth. It's rooted in fear or anger. And there are other beliefs that might be rooted in love, but those beliefs tend to take second tier or be like overlaid in a way on top of that more primal fear-based belief. And the reason is simple, because we are animals and we are programmed to survive. And so we're programmed to come from a place of, how can I best live? How will I survive these circumstances? And when we're not faced with lions and tigers, or we're not faced with, grueling hard winters and things that will kill us, we get faced with psychological fears and relational fears, because beyond not surviving and dying, the other thing that we fear the most is to be outcast, right? To not be welcome in the world, because that means we'll die, right? We need other people in order to survive. And so when we, feel like, oh no, if I do that thing, or I say that thing, or I have that belief, other people won't accept me. I will not have a tribe. And if I don't have a tribe, I won't survive. And so this is something to really recognize and understand about your own beliefs, right? And my own beliefs and the collective beliefs that we hold. No matter how much we try to come up with, beautiful phrases and maxims and truths that might very well sound true, we can't ignore forever the truth of our feelings and of our fear, the truth of our fear. So this is an opportunity in this full moon to really see that reflected back to ourselves, because Pisces comes where it comes in the sky, right? We're passing from like the way that and I'm actually just going to share my screen so I can show you. As much as I love to talk to you in this more personal way, the screen says it all. It is the sky we are looking at. And it really, this is Pisces, right? So this is where our full moon is, 11:49 in Uttara Bhadrapada. And it's right across the way from our sun in Virgo, who's joined Mars, and Mars is combust, meaning he's close to the sun. And when they're combust, when a planet is combust, it's more easily agitated. Well, when it's Mars, it's more easily agitated. All the planets have like a more sensitivity when they're close to the sun. They are not as they don't have like a buffer of protection that gives you like a little extra room for error. And it's kind of like snap on a dime, like something just set me off. And in the sign of Virgo, we know that this is going to be around everything being in its perfect place, the details working out, right? We want, our communication details to be clear. We want people to be clear about what they mean and what they're saying. We want, our home to be organized. We've had Mars in Virgo for some time now. It's actually, nearing the end. So all the different things that we've been passionately trying to organize, clean, and purify in our world can set us off on a dime if something throws that off, if something throws our perfect little neat world off. And the moon across the way is reflecting to us the opposite energy, like the energy of not caring about the details, of surrendering to the mess, of knowing that all the categories and organization in the world is all based on a human desire for control, a human desire to make things neat that are messy, or to make things new that are not new anymore, to clean something that is going to just get dirty again, right? So our moon is reminding us of a much higher truth, of the bigger picture. You can keep your head focus down and scrub all the floors all you want, but at some point you have to step back, right? And see things from a wider lens, and know that that floor being clean can help give you a sense of cleanliness. But at the end of the day, it's minutia. It's a detail that's just that. It's just a detail, and it's not going to change anything in the big picture. All the little details together can change things in the big picture, but only because they change our views. All the little details together, when we fixate on them, change our own capacity to breathe into, relax, and surrender into the greater truths, into the bigger unknowns, because we want control. And what I was going to say before I launched into the Sun Mars thing, because once we looked at it, I had to, is that what we have is at the end of our planetary, or the end of our constellation arrangement, we go from Sagittarius, which is Jupiter's masculine sign, right? We're going out in the world. We have beliefs, we have maxims, we have rules, we have dogma, we have very strong assertions of what we believe and why that's true. And almost always it involves external forces that make that true, right? There's a need to agree upon certain reality in order for those beliefs to hold true. And once we don't, we're seeing this in our today world, where once we don't have a shared agreed upon reality, those truths become very nebulous, right? And very, very malleable. So then we go from Jupiter's realm into the double whammy of Saturn, Capricorn and Aquarius, both ruled by Saturn, with Saturn in Aquarius. So the moon literally just came out of joined with Saturn. Like as I'm making this video, the moon has joined Saturn, right? So we come out, we move from this high optimism and expansion and enthusiasm and inspiration and beliefs in Sagittarius into this like, oh, and now I have to take all those beliefs and make them work in this cold, hard landscape that is reality, which is that I'm gonna die one day. I only have enough time, you know, there's only so much I can do. And there's this ever looming awareness that our body is going to end at some point. And then we move into Aquarius, where there's a little bit more optimism, you know, but it's still fear-based. It's still coming from that Saturnian quality of fear and time and boundaries and limitations and all the things we have to do and all the reasons why we can't, right? So we can imagine the future in Aquarius, but we can also imagine all the obstacles between us and that future and all the reasons why we have to settle along the way. Instead of just getting that huge gold vision, we have to make a lot of choices because of all the limitations and all the reasons why we're not ready yet, or the world's not ready yet, or, you know, we don't have enough money, or we're too old, or this, you know, all the reasons why we can't come up. And then we move back into Jupiter's other signs. So Jupiter's two signs like sandwich Saturn's two signs. And at this point, we're moved into the realm of like, yeah, okay. There's all the limitations in the world. And there's all the awareness of death in the world and time and all these things. And what am I going to do? You know, sit in the fear of it all? Like, am I just going to wait till I die, or am I going to let that go, surrender that, and decide to embrace all the truth and all the love and all the things about me and about this world and about the other people in my world without feeling attached to it, you know, without needing it to be a certain way, because I'm no longer trying to stay alive. It's no longer my goal. Once that goal goes away, I don't need to survive anymore, right? It doesn't matter. I'm unattached. I'm unattached to my body. I'm unattached to my thoughts. I'm unattached to even my relationships. I'm unattached to my possessions. You know, I'm unattached to these achievements that I've been trying to get in the outside world. And so I can fully surrender. And so I can fully face all the different parts of myself, including my deepest fears, including the parts of myself that I actually didn't even know were there, you know, not just the sort of shadows that we have and our, you know, hidden secrets or the qualities of ourselves that we might be ashamed of, but like deeper than that, like the lineage of truth that we are predicating everything we believe upon. And the thread we have carried into this life from that we've been weaving everything we've been doing from that place. And can we even look at that premise and be unattached to that as well, be unattached to even that, and see the fallibility in it? Because inherently anything that we name or say or conceptualize in some way, it must inherently have some level of falsehood to it, by virtue of the fact that we've tried to make it, you know, museum it, embalm it, concretize it, like make it solid. It's like immediately it's false now, because the living, breathing energy of all that is not stuck in time, right? It is not in a museum. It is not stuck in a picture. It is not recorded. It is not written down. It can't even just come into thought and be made into words, because those are all our less than capable human ways of trying to grasp at it. But it's like it goes up in sparkles. I don't want to say flames. It goes up in sparkles when we try. Like when we try to capture it, poof, it's gone. And so this is the magic, the portal, the opening that we have available to us in this time. And of course, because it's a full moon, this is not a cycle we're setting off, right? A new moon is a cycle we're setting off. A full moon is highlighting what we're not doing in that cycle. And so it's bringing the pendulum to the other side to say, hey, don't forget about this over here. You've been over there cleaning house in Virgo. Why don't you come over here and take a picture of everything that ever has been all at once? You know, why don't you like get real messy and see everything at once? And in that environment, we are able to kind of have a more relative relationship to the details of our life and to the things we're trying to clean and the things we're trying to purify and the details we're trying to organize and the relationships we're clinging onto. And the other serpentine star, so Uttara Bhadrapada is a serpentine star. It is ruled by Ahir Budnya. It's the serpent of the deep. Oh, the kitty has come to this is resonating. The snake or Naga kingdom in the Vedic world is akin to our subconscious. It's akin to what holds us up. The many thousand-headed or hundred-headed snake that is Vishnu's couch that he's seen depicted floating on while he dreams up the next world, the next universe, is made of the highest serpent, right? The biggest serpent, Anantasesha. And this Ahir Budnya has some relativity to that biggest, deepest part of our subconscious. That is actually where everything that we have in the material world is coming from. Because it's all a dream, right? That's the point. That's the whole point of all of these traditions that we've embraced in this day and age. You know, all of this wisdom that's being carried forward, the threads that we're bringing forward into this now come from an understanding that ancient people had, that this world we're living in is actually quite malleable and is more etheric than we understand, and that we are making reality, you and me and everyone around us, and the agreed upon, shared upon ways in which we choose to do that, in which we have been choosing to do that. And I think one of the biggest lessons we can have in this moment, because we're about to move into an eclipse, right? We're about to move into our double eclipse, the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse. So the new moon that we're going to have, and then the full moon that we're going to have 2 weeks after that. So we're already starting to feel the energy of the nodes and that otherworldly knowledge. And by otherworldly, it's like not of this realm, right? It's the stuff that isn't of our material world that we're here and now thinking about all the time, is starting to enter in. And it already has been, you know, if you have planets in Libra, especially early degrees Libra, you've really been feeling it in the last few months. If you have planets in Aries, you've been feeling this, you know, and certainly all of us have had Rahu on Jupiter, but you can see the degrees are quite far now between the two of these. So we can feel ourselves moving into that portal, and we somehow know that all of this is a choice, right? That we have made choices and everyone else has made choices, and not just in this moment or in this day, but in all our previous evolutions of self, we've made choices. And this is where we're at. And do we like the choices we've made? And if we don't, what can we do to change that? You know, make a different choice, right? We can make a different choice. And we can choose to surrender that primal energy of fear that brought us all here to begin with. You know, it was even that energy that made someone write down this very information I share right now. It was an energy of fear, an energy that this will be lost, that the times will get darker, that people will lose the wisdom. Are we glad they did that? Absolutely. But who knows, if there hadn't been that original kernel of fear and doubt, that's the seedling that then gets sent forward into the future. And it's not as simple as just saying, well, I won't fear, or I don't care, or I don't think about things. It's much more complicated, right? Because so much gets built from the beginnings. And if everything that's built, like if somebody's building a house and the basic foundation is shoddy, everything on top of that will be as well, right? As much, you could bring in the best builders on earth and you could make everything perfect, and it will still have problems because it's founded on a problem, right? It's founded on something that is the opposite of love and truth. And so this particular place in the sky is an opening for many. As a full moon, it's sort of carrying us into this culmination of the first, 2 weeks that we've been experiencing, a little less than 2 weeks that we've been experiencing of the sun here in Virgo. And then it's going to taper down, right? And wane to the other end. And as such, there's a real opportunity to release in that waning cycle all the different attachments that don't serve you. I mean, you could like write them down on a piece of paper, just like, okay, that doesn't serve me. Okay, that doesn't serve me. And of course, we don't want to release probably some of our attachments because they're like, I have a child, I'm not going to release my child, but I can release certain energy lines that I have with him that are tying him to me. And I started to mention we have the double serpentine energy, and then I think I went over that, but Venus is at the very end of Cancer here, right? She went to Leo, she retrograded back into Cancer, now she's forward moving again, and she's almost done with her bout in Cancer. And she's in, well, not quite in this moment, but in the next days that as follow from this 28th to the end of the week, she moves through into the 29th degree, which is where the Gandanta point starts, of Aslesha into Magha and Leo. This karmic knot, this place where we are trying to untie old karma. And we're trying to, in this case, with Aslesha, untie ourselves because it is another serpent that is ruling this star. And it is this very snake-like quality of wrapping itself around something and clinging to it. Like this is often referred to as the clinging star, where we are holding on to something so tight that we kill it. It's like a mother who is uncomfortable allowing her child to go off into the world. She's raised them, she loves them, she's given them her everything, and now they're turning, 18 and they're supposed to go off into the world, and she's clinging to them. She refuses to let them go. We all have something like that. We all have place in our life, and what Venus rules for you and means for you is going to, what house Cancer is for you. All of these things are going to really point to what it is that you're holding on to. But on a general level, we can say it has to do with our relationships or our sense of happiness and how much we feel like we need to give in order to receive. And this little moment in time, because on the 1st, so on Sunday after this full moon, Venus is going to move into Leo, for the second time. And we're going to have a shift from how much I'm giving and giving and giving and trying to get to this sort of like, well, I am high and mighty on my throne, and you owe me, or you should be serving me. And this is another place we can look at in this cycle of our attachments to even having this kind of relationship with another person. I mean, Venus has gotten like the real run here with the retrograde cycle that she had right in this particular place in the sky. But when she's finished with Leo, she's going to go into Virgo, and that's where she's debilitated. So we're moving through this period of time with relationships where we're needing to reflect upon our relationship with unconditional love and conditional love, giving and receiving, and our expectations of other people, particularly one other person, right? In the more tribal times, when people lived more collectively, so much weight would not be put on one other person. There wouldn't just be this one other reflection to do all the things. And particularly if you have children, you might, recognize that. You might recognize, I don't think it's meant to be, two people doing all this with our kids. Like somehow there needs to be more of a village. And so we can see in this time some of the threads that carried through that brought us there, perhaps, that brought us to this dynamic of this world of this nuclear family, or these, individual islands of people, whether they're solo or whether they're a duo. That in itself is a wound, because what's happened is people are willing to stay in relationship even if it's not working. In fact, they'll cling to it so hard, they'll suffocate the life out of it. But because it's so scary to be alone, and that's your other choice, right? Is to be together or to be alone. There's, not to say that there aren't some attempts at people trying to create more community, but I haven't seen a lot of effective models of that yet, because we don't have the things carrying us together that we used to have when community was a way of life, like, everyone being part of the same family, or this deep understanding that everybody needs to be thriving. And if anybody's not, then you're not either, right? So that way of being has been changed and altered so much so that it's very hard for us to move away from this dynamic of, trying to achieve things, gain things, get things for ourselves and maybe one other person or our family that we're allowed to have. But it's hard when we have, individuals who each have their own very, capitalist mind or Western mindset, and might not realize what their beliefs are predicated on. They might want to have new age beliefs, but they might not understand where they're coming from and how everything they now believe began on top of something. And that foundation might be different than what they know, what they're aware of. And so this is a beautiful time to become more aware, right? To just really allow yourself to, whether it's in a body of water, whether it's on the earth, whether it's in meditation, whether it's through, dance or some other way, whatever your pathway is, to allow yourself to enter in deeper into your own heart, into your own awareness of self and everything around you, and start to really dissolve the lines between you and everything else. It's an opportunity to really go deep and walk through the door and do that work. On the other end is Revati. The star that comes after Uttara Bhadra is called Revati, and it's where we walk each other home. It's the final nakshatra that brings us to a state of peace. And incidentally, it's where Venus is exalted. So where we have our highest relationship to love and happiness and relationships is in this sort of collective walking each other home. It's a very peaceful place in the sky, but we have to earn it. And I think that's enough for today. I think that's the pearl of wisdom for our full moon here in Uttara Bhadrapada. If you would like to see weekly breakdowns of what's happening on a day-to-day basis, Or even further than that, I do weekly breakdowns for each of the 12 rising signs, so you can see how your sign is affected. You know, like when I was talking about Venus being in Aslacia, I'm like, it really depends on what it rules for you. You know, if you're a Taurus or Libra rising, it's your ruling planet, so it's pretty significant where it is in the sky. You know, if you're a Aries or Scorpio, it's your seventh lord, so it's going to have to do with your relationship. So these kind of things are really important to understand about, to really understand the stars, to really understand what's happening and how these objects in space affect us. And so much of what we experience in the realm of astrology actually sort of serves to almost take you farther from the truth of what's happening. And so the more you can dive into the details to reflect the bigger picture back to yourself, the more you're going to be able to actually align yourself with these energies and live more closer to your own truth and to your path. So if you want to look into that, I have a Patreon group called Cosmically Aligned. You can find that, Radha Home Astrology at Patreon. And I have a link down below. And you can also go to my website to get further information on my offerings, my readings, and I hope to see you again soon. Happy, blessed woman. Namaste.